All right, what's up, guys? I am unfortunately here with third boot, Mr. Derek. He played my season. I was so excited to see you play, Derek. I was really hyped up to see you, man. First off, how are you doing since being voted out?
Since being voted out, I mean, I've been good. Like, I put a lot into my fight to stay. I put a lot out there on the table, but at the end of the day, it is just a game. I know with my exit, I really struggled with like trying to take the high road, but also trying to be real and like trying to like fight to stay. And I did call a couple people out, and that's not necessarily the Derek way, but you got to try some things that are different. I went early, which sucks, but I do feel good in what I produced and how much I put into it. I think for a third boot, yeah, it was an All-Stars game, but like I had a fight, and I don't think anybody can take that away from me. And if they try, yeah.
Yeah, no, I fully agree, man. Like, you know me, I think you got to fight till you're done, and you did that. I think the high road, screw the high road. You got to be there trying to stay. It's All Stars.
Yeah.
And you did a hell of a job trying to stay. If it worked, you swap. Here's a swap. New life for you.
Absolutely.
That's how it goes, though. Oh man, so what really went down, I guess, to lead up to that? I mean, we know the first round kind of voted minority.
Yes.
So what kind of everything?
It's kind of difficult to even. I think there was a lot of just circumstantial things that also attributed it to it as well. I mean, obviously, like I kind of called it out a little bit in my tribal council, half of the tribe, basically, not including myself, of 4 people, 2 of them were really not wanting to give me anything. They were not wanting to. One of them didn't talk to me. Like I was surprised that they were there at tribal council because I hadn't received a message from them in 3 days. And yeah, I could have pestered and I could have badgered like those 2 people a little bit more. But if they're not showing me action of prioritization, clearly what I wanted the first round, fell on deaf ears. So like how much like leverage did I truly have with them? I didn't feel like it was a lot. And by their actions, it told me it was none at all. So yeah, I voted a minority. I don't like Kat and I did ponder with the idea of voting Esteban, and in hindsight, I wish we did, but I also think that with I told Kat some things that people were saying too, and not that that was necessarily wrong, but I should have maybe approached it in a different way because she was a little bit fixated on Jake, and I was too from the start of the game. Like, to be honest, Stoner, I was wishing you were on my tribe, not Jake. And I've told him that. I've told Jake that at this point. When I was in the game, I kind of had to come to Jesus moment with him because my initial hope was with Esteban and Missy. After I voted in minority, everybody wanted to call me, which is amazing. I loved that. Thank you to everybody for calling me at that point in time. And basically, like, of all the calls I had, Esteban was like, I still think there's hope for me, you, and Missy. And I was like, okay, I'm going to hold on to this. But as the days went by, I think there were 3, maybe 4 days. I don't know exactly offhand. The day before my vote, Esteban had called me for like 15 minutes, and I was really happy. Like, really, it's happening. He said he was going to go do his challenge and he'd call me after. Then he was doing dishes and then he'd call me after. And then he was hosting another game's finale and that he'd call me after. And I didn't initiate anything at that point because I was kind of like testing the waters. I wanted to see if he truly wanted to work with me. Because if he did, he would have reached out and said, hey, are you around? And I would have immediately typed, because I was by my computer and my phone throughout this entire time, and I would have immediately said yes, but I needed to see if he was going to prioritize me, and the fact that he gave me no action or ability to believe that he or Missy would, it gave me very much full reign to then go to Jake and Zachy, and that was my initial hope wasn't going to have me. Let's try the other side of things, which I didn't necessarily believe was my highest chance to begin with. I had just flipped on Jake. I had just voted for him. I realized they probably think I'm a fucking liar because I am. So like, I knew that my chances weren't high with them, but the difference of the fucking matter was that Jake spoke to me the most after I voted in minority. Yes, it was probably damage control. I fully believe that it was. But he was still there for me as a person when nobody else was. And I appreciated that so much so that I was like, listen here, Jake. You and potentially even Zachy, who's also kind of ignoring me a little bit at that point in time, are my only hope. And I pitched to both of them hard, and I appreciate that both of them were willing to get on a call with me and at least talk with me. They were like, they both said that they couldn't promise anything, and I didn't anticipate them to either. Like, it's just the fact that they sat, listened to me, and at least seemed like they were considering their options. I really hold high in my heart because I think that's how you play Survivor. Like, I realized why they couldn't say, yes, let's do Missy. Yes, let's do Esteban, because they were afraid I'd probably run back to Misty and Esteban and try to like turn it on them. So I get that. And I don't hold anything against them. I don't really hold anything against Missy and Esteban personally because it's not personal. But in a game sense, I think they played a shitty game. I think it was a coward's way out. I think this is all stars. It requires a little bit more than ignoring somebody when you're going to vote for them. If we were in a live game or on Real Survivor, you can't just ice people out like that. It doesn't work that way. And so I think they, for lack of better words, hid behind a computer. And yes, I know that they both have stuff going on, but that's where I prioritize this game. And obviously I just started a new job the other day as well. So like I wasn't even working during this time. So I get that I have things not going on that other people may do. But this game was always going to be my priority. I know Missy's she was in another game at the start of this game. She's now in another game on top of it. And I think that goes to show priorities in a nutshell. And I'm not attacking her for playing multiple games, but this was my one, and they didn't even want to save me. So trying to think. Yeah, that's a lot of what was leading up to it. I knew that I wouldn't be the ability to be the most around during the day of my tribal. And so that's where I did most of my calls the night before. And I everybody knew that I was going to be unavailable from 5 to 9. As soon as I knew that shift, I put it in the tribe chat. I made sure that everybody knew as well. I do think with the swap that happened, that we knew was kind of going to happen, because it was like, just so you know, Zoom call after this tribal, I think that also hurt my chances a little bit too. It made it a lot easier to just be like, let's be a united 4, drop this, one person, and then nobody in our 4 is still bitter or upset or blindsided. So I also understand that. And I think if we didn't have the swap, and if maybe Missy and Esteban weren't so busy, like maybe I would have had more of a chance. And I'm not like, there's definitely actions that I took that also attributed to why I'm here, but just those circumstantial things that I couldn't control. Maybe if they were a little bit different, maybe it wouldn't have gone down this way, but it's coulda, shoulda, woulda. So yeah, that was leading up to it.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's a lot to go, happen in such a short time period, especially with the stars, that stress alone in that game.
Yeah.
And I know you wanted it, like you said, you were only playing one game. This was your main thing, is Triumph All Stars. I want to do well in here, and that's how it goes. So I think for the next question, you kind of answered it in your previous question, but did you know you were in trouble? You knew you were in trouble.
Oh my God, yes. I mean, like,
I got
after the first tribal we had, I knew it was an oh shit moment, but I do thrive in a situation like that, where I'm kind of one of the few or lone person that voted in minority. It gives everybody the opportunity to like come to me and like, hey, I'm sorry, yada yada yada. But I get to showcase of like the player that I am, that I don't take it like that hard when I don't get my way. That's I realize in these games you don't get your way a lot of the time. And just showing grace and good sportsmanship, I feel like really appeals to people. It appeals to me as a player. If I were to blindside or backstab somebody and they're still in the game, like, and they have that grace and what's the other word? Like, like, it doesn't affect me, like, long term.
Good
Yeah,
point.
y'all lied to me. I can get over that. That's really not that big of a deal. This game changes so frequently and so quickly that somebody may lie to me one day and backstab me one day, but they could be my best ally the next. They could be my best chance of moving forward. Um, I don't know that everybody's that way, and that's probably where people probably thought that I would be bitter or like that I wouldn't be trustworthy because that Cat vote happened. But I didn't give a fuck. Like, I loved Cat and I wanted her to stay in the game. But as soon as she was gone, like, it was me alone. So like I was gonna be down with whatever. Who wanted to have me? I was not gonna harbor resentment. That's not me. Um so yeah, no, I very much knew though, because after that point, it was just quiet. Like, it was radio silence is the best way. With the only person really reaching out to me was Jake, and I have so much appreciation for Jake because of that. Even though he couldn't vote to keep me, him and Zachy both, like, again, I just appreciate that they sat and listened to me. They listened to me make my pitch. They told me I had some good points. They were real with me in as much of a way that you can be in a game like this.
No, I mean I love that. So I guess you're kind of talking about it already. So what any other thoughts on your tribe overall? Who you got along with, who you didn't like? You kind of touched up on it quite a bit. So if you don't want to talk,
Yeah. So like, when I left, I said that I'm rooting for my tribe. And of course, there's a side of me there's a side of me like that's not gonna go away. But, a big part of my pitch was that Esteban and Missy don't have the activity, the longevity to be able to make it through a swap. um, and so, in a game sense, I am really rooting against Esteban and Missy. I'm hoping that they follow me out soon. I hope that they are also in pre-jury because it would very much, nail the points down that I was making. And it would have shown that keeping me was probably a better option because I could probably survive and thrive in a swap. Like, I know people in this game. A lot of people do, obviously, but I knew that I'd be able to make connections, and I'm good at that. So kind of rooting against them, but I still adore them both as people. But I'm really, really, really rooting for Jake and Zachy. Jake the most, and I'm not like gonna curve it because Jake was just the most there for me. It very much like I was surprised by how much he was because I had just voted for him, because I had just flipped on him, lied to him, backstabbed him, blindsided him. Like, I did the worst to Jake, and Jake was still my like kind of knight in shining armor.
yeah, yeah. I think like that's a good quality that Jake does have.
Yeah.
Actually, in games where he just doesn't hold grudges. I think that you don't hold grudges. I think it makes a good player. Someone that
Yeah.
doesn't hold grudges. All right, so you're rooting for Jake and Zachy a little bit from your original tribe. Do you see them going the distance and making it far, making a deep run?
Jake, yes, and I would say Zachy probably yes. Like, even Missy and Esteban, they do have that potential. I won't take that entirely away from them, but I do think that Jake is playing a good game. His biggest thing is that he's a winner, and I think that could hinder him. We all play multiple games. We've probably all won a game before, so really, in the grand scheme of things, it's not that big of a deal to me. But you never know how other people are going to take it, and I do think that's going to hurt him a little bit. But yeah, I do think that Jake and Zachy both have good longevity in the game. I think you froze. I'll patiently wait. Can you hear me?
Hear me.
Yes, but you're cutting out a little.
Hello.
Hello. No, I do not hear you now.
Yeah,